Cannabis-induced psychosis. Women kill her boyfriend after stabbing him 100 times. Get slapped on the wristy wrist. Funny bone. Fuck. Why is this whole in full screen mode, fool? Come on, fool. I hit my funny mode, fool. Shit. Okay. This that California shit, fool. Trying to tell y'all that, fool. That Cali shit, fool. Cause where else, fool, in the whole world could you get off with something like this, fool? Just be for real. Fool, we just being for real, fool. If we gonna be for real, fool, just be for real. You know what I'm saying, fool? If you gonna be for real, fool, let's just be for real. Where on earth can you get away with something like this besides weird ass California, fool? Oh God, fool. I ain't even gonna wait no more time, fool. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, drop a comment. What y'all want to see next? Follow me around. STA KT and really KT. I don't know if you can't hear what I'm saying. You pussy ass bitch. Get off my video. Whore. Oh God. Anyway. I'm my mama though, fool. Full of emotional ass weirdo. California, fool. I'm straight on that shit. Let's get it back. Oh, the bathroom.
Marijuana is this benign, innocuous
Is
substance.
she ugly?
And I can tell you that the clients that I see in my office, I see ruined lives and destroyed futures from marijuana.
A woman receives what some would consider a slap on the wrist by a California judge after she was sentenced to probation and no prison time for fatally stabbing a man she was dating more than 100 times. A California jury found
that's what I might would have understood. You said one. You know what I'm saying? And it just happened to be fatal.
26-year-old accountant Chad O'Melia. According to reports, Bryn and Chad
had
been dating just a few weeks.
Is that her fool?
Or
that's somebody else?
Bong filled with marijuana. Bryn stabbed Chad 108 times, killing him after suffering from a cannabis-induced psychotic break.
So psychosis is literally a departure from reality. People lose touch with reality. Psychosis can come in many forms. There's schizophrenia, which a lot of us have heard about. But drugs like cannabis can also induce symptoms of psychosis.
If your weak body
paranoia, auditory hallucinations, disorganized thinking.
Without thinking about some extracurricular
psychosis may at the
you
time
don't need to be
not
smoking.
know the difference between right and wrong.
Or now she out and she can. Well, if she on probation, she technically can't do this.
So every state, as you know,
if she did that, but she gonna find a way.
An NGRI statute. In fact, some states actually don't have an NGRI defense, but California does. So it is possible for someone in a psychosis to possibly not have the capacity to know the difference between right and wrong. And that is how this marijuana fits into it.
I spoke with forensic psychiatrist Dr. Daniel Rowe. He tells me many people believe marijuana doesn't present a danger, but he's seen lives ruined from the drug.
The fact is that in the last 30 years, the percentage of THC has increased dramatically in marijuana. It used to be around 2 or 3%, and now it's sometimes as high as 60 or 70%. So we're seeing these cases of psychosis that don't go away, the classical thinking.
Fool, it gotta be a law or something like that, though, fool, in recreational and medicinal legal state, fool.
Completely psychotic to the point where they may never recover.
Bro, you gotta have some type of law. And then again, it is government weed, fool, so they probably make it to make folks do stuff like this, so that's probably why they let it off.
But some people, whether it's because they have a genetic propensity to develop psychosis or schizophrenia, may be more prone to these effects. Psychosis can be just as extreme and just as symptomatic as schizophrenia. And there is a belief that certain
but she looked crazy.
Marijuana
it had to have been a female judge for long. It had to have been
develop.
She was like, I want to see you get locked up, bitch.
Police say when officers arrived on scene, they found Chad in a pool of blood and Bryn screaming hysterically while still holding the bread knife used to kill him. During the violent melee, she also stabbed her beloved service dog to death.
To me, the fact that she stabbed herself along with the service dog and not just the boyfriend would, speak to the random nature of the crime, that he wasn't the intended target and that there was very little organized thinking to her actions. and that she was simply randomly stabbing whoever was around her.
And when officers tried to disarm her, Bryn tried to take her own life. She plunged a knife into her own neck and stabbed herself.
You're not finna get high around
Police
me.
reportedly had to use a taser and several baton blows to disarm her before then calling paramedics. Bryn had been out on bond since the 2018 stabbing and her subsequent arrest. She was originally charged with murder, but prosecutors asked for a lesser charge after the state's expert determined Bryn was, quote, acutely psychotic from the bong rips.
That's the devil.
5 years after the shocking crime, both the prosecution and defense believed the attack was caused by weed.
Oh my
Bryn's
God.
lawyers argued Chad had pressured and intimidated her into taking the last bong hit. And under California law, people are responsible for their actions when impaired by alcohol or drugs unless their intoxication was involuntary. The jury rejected that argument, only deliberating less than 4 hours before finding her guilty of involuntary manslaughter.
So Spacer
faced up to 4 years in prison along with sentence enhancements. But according to KTLA, the judge ruled that given the facts in the case, he didn't believe it was warranted, ultimately letting Bryn off with probation and no hard time behind bars.
So I know that people are uncomfortable with the insanity defense. This particularly was true.
Is that because she a female? What
the
do had got for involuntary manslaughter? Oh, when you stab somebody over 100 times. And they just said she had a previous one for some years ago.
Is that, you know, using a substance is not a defense for a crime. That would be called voluntary intoxication. But psychosis that is induced by a substance could be used for an insanity defense. So I think that it is possible that if someone were psychotic, that they may not be responsible for their actions. So even though that makes people uncomfortable, it is something that the law recognizes.
And you can't, unless you can prove that we're forced you to drink this, you feel me, or smoke this.
Most people don't realize that the insanity defense is used less than 1% of the time.
I don't even want to say nothing after this video, for I'm done with this bit. I ain't lying, but this just blew me.
So
I only cut it. I'm talking over there.
Movies or on TV, the insanity
bro,
defense is very rarely used.
Can I get off?
More rarely successful.
Will I be safe for it?
I think in this particular case, the
4 years of prison,
so extreme
that
it turned out to be a valid defense.
Local outlets reported outrage over the judge's decision to let Bryn off with probation.
Yeah, I don't like,
you can
bro.
see Chad's father, who stood outside the courthouse prior to sentencing, demanding justice for his son. He previously spoke with News Nation's Ashley Banfield after Bryn's charges were reduced and shared insight into Bryn and Chad's relationship.
Information that I've heard, all the testimony I've heard, that they were getting along just fine. It was very, very early on. They had just met each other about 3 weeks ago. So the relationship hadn't run its course or gotten very far into it at all. But no, there was no fighting or arguing or anything like that. They were both, professional people. My son was an accountant. She was an audiologist. So they both had bright futures. They really did.
According to the Ventura Star, Bryn's sentence prompted an audible response from Chad's loved ones as they exclaimed shock and anger. But Dr. Bober explains the situation isn't as black and white as it may seem.
So this is a lot more than just, quote unquote, someone smoking some weed and getting off. This is not the weed itself. This is the disease or the symptoms that is caused by smoking the weed and the psychosis that was a result.
Bruh, that don't make no
sense. So smoking the weed may be, again, benign in itself for most people, but in this particular case, they developed something that was caused by the weed or the marijuana, and that is what we're really talking about here. We're not talking about just smoking a joint, so to speak, and getting off, scot-free.
Fool, you can't say nothing like that unless you can prove that, like they said, fool, it was involuntarily done.
So what could Bryn's life look like in the future?
Put it
Dr. Bober says lifelong treatment is possible.
So the people that suffer from this disorder are treated with antipsychotic medication. Sometimes they can go
you don't dream
for about
no
a year,
at all.
and you can see how they do without medication.
Just like that.
But very often they may require lifelong or indefinite antipsychotic treatment.
Feel bad for you if you got one of them.
Dealing with this even just today. It's a question of finding the right medication that they're going to respond to. So sometimes it can be trial and error, but they may need that medication for life to control their symptoms. I think the larger message in all of this is that cannabis is a very, very serious substance. It's not something that should be taken lightly, particularly for people who are developing It can cause very severe, very significant symptoms, as we're seeing here, and to be aware that it's something that is a significant public health problem, and we all need to be paying attention to that.
Bryn Spacer was also sentenced to 100 hours of community service. If she violates her probation, the judge said she will have to do 4 years of prison time. Reporting for Law and Crime, I'm Elizabeth Milner.
4 years, bruh. For stabbing somebody 100 times in this instance and previously doing it for years prior. Boy, oh boy, I hate white bitches, boy. This is why I don't like white girls, fool. This is why I don't talk to white girls. This is why I don't talk to nobody, period. Matter of fact, I like a black girl, fool, but I don't even talk to bitches either. I don't even talk to black girls either. I don't got, fool. You just crazy, fool. I don't got it, just crazy, fool. Because had it been the other way around, fool, had it been a dude and he tried to blame it on his psychosis over stabbing a girl 100 times, but I guarantee your ass, fool, I bet the bank on God, fool. You think Brad would have got probation, son? Just be for real, fool. Man, that's it for this video, though, man. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. Drop a comment what y'all want to see next. Follow me on the gram at STA KT and at ReadyKT. And I'm going to see y'all next video, man. Big brr.